Today on DNVR Buffs Live, we have watched every snap of Kansas State this season against an FBS opponent. So are they a good matchup or a bad matchup for the Buffs? Let's dive in. Let's go.
Welcome into the Toyota Lounge, driven by your Front Range Toyota stores. Toyota, the official vehicle of DNVR, live from DNVR Bar. It's DNVR Buffs Primetime.
It feels like Thursday, gonna be honest.
My days and weeks are annihilated.
It is.
I have no idea where we are.
I feel like I'm just scratching and clawing through this week, just like trying to get to Saturday. And then once we get to Saturday, we got a whole day before we get to watch the Buffs.
Yep. We'll get there. We'll make it.
I got to tell you, Jake.
What's up, brother?
I finally feel the energy that I've been looking for this week. Remember yesterday I was kind of saying, like, I hope everyone understands how big this game is.
Oh, yeah.
It's kind of setting in for me now. I'm starting to feel it from the Buff Nation. Mm-hmm. I was texting with my good buddy Tucker last night, and he lives out of state now, but he's a diehard Buffs fan. And he just said, like, I think I got to be there, dude. I think I got to come. I'll tell you tomorrow, like, what my flight is, but I'm coming in for this game.
Let's go,
And that was just like that, like, set it off for me. I was like, all right, we're in the right place. We're seeing this correctly right now.
Oh, I can sense it too. There's a different level of excitement, I think, bubbling up for this game.
Absolutely. And it's cool because I tweeted out the 2002 game today, and the reason I started talking with Tuck is because him and I were at that game together. Mm-hmm. And it's just like such a vivid memory for me. But as I started like watching highlights and all this stuff, is like there's weird parallels between this game. Like I said, it was a gold rush game back then. They had Darren Sproles, who I don't think it's fair to Dylan to compare him to Darren Sproles, but It was like they had this twitchy little running back that honestly Kansas State seems to always have one of those guys.
Deuce Vaughn.
It was, big game, great atmosphere, sold out crowd. And yeah, just like that also got me in that mode, just watching that game and watching the Buffs make big plays in that. I cannot wait for just the sound of the crowd under the lights, Folsom Field, sold out to the brim, students absolutely losing their minds. It's going to be epic on Saturday night.
For sure. Yeah, Artemis, shout out to you. Shout out the Tigers. Sold out, as you said.
Yes, sir.
Third sellout of the season now.
Yes, sir.
Big time.
It's going to be crazy.
All right, let's get into it. What side of the ball you want to start on?
I'm an offense guy. So
our offense or their offense?
Their offense versus our defense. We're talking about scouting here. I said this a little bit yesterday. Look, it used to be like a funny bit, like, oh, I have notes. Now I just have notes every time. It's not as cool anymore. Yeah. It's probably better. But my first note, and I think I told you guys this yesterday, is Avery Johnson wants to keep the football. Now, that kind of leads me into simplifying their offense down. It's kind of like a 3-layer offense to me.
Yeah.
Layer 1 is handing it off to DJ Giddens. Mm-hmm. And he is really, really good. Really good. Yeah. And he's fast. He's explosive. He's got a bag of moves. He's impressive. If layer 1 works, that really unlocks layer 2, which is Avery Johnson running it. Mm-hmm. They want you to be in a position where, like, you have to kind of guess, and they're going to counter off of what you guess. And like I said, Avery would love for you to dive down and try and take away DJ Giddens so he can keep the ball and go run with it. And if you can't stop that, that unlocks layer 3, which is them throwing the ball, off play action, and it kind of just like each one compounds on the other. We watched every game, so collectively, the one that I watched that you didn't was Tulane. The one that you watched that I didn't was Arizona, but I did watch that one live.
Yeah.
When they're at their worst, they can't really do anything.
Yep.
Because Avery can't, drop back, throw it on 3rd and 10. And they're very reliant on those two, those two layers I mentioned of running the ball. When they're at their best, they look unstoppable because you're just guessing every play. Are they handing it off? Is he keeping it, or are they throwing it?
Right.
And you can't, especially as a college defense, you can't be guessing. Mm-hmm. So we're right back to where we were last week. If you stop layer 1, it really hurts them for layer 2 and layer 3. And I think that if any team in the Big 12 is suited to stop layer 1, it's Colorado.
Yeah. Okay. My notes. A lot of 21 and 12.
That was just one note.
That was one. Oh,
I just wanted to see what you thought about everything I just said.
No, that was great. Okay. I love it. I was going to just build on it. As you said, it's a lot of 21 and 12 personnel, but it's like power spread. They'll play out of the shotgun a lot, but they like to bring in big bodies. Lots of motion too, jet motion they'll run with. But as you said, it's like, and as Dalton from PFF said, it's kind of like a modern triple option type. A lot of RPOs, play action heavy. They're going to run read option. They're going to run power read. They got all sorts of stuff that branches off of that.
Oh, yeah.
And it's QB run heavy as well. So big emphasis for just like last week or 2 weeks ago, as you said. Emphasis on the edges. You got to contain. And they got to hit this guy, Avery Johnson.
Yes.
You got to hit this guy. This is not an offense built to play from behind. So
no, not at all.
If you get them out of their game script early, you have a big advantage that just snowballs as time in the game, quarters go on. If you can keep them down, as you said, they're not going to drop back and just throw over the top. Like, I don't know, Colorado State, that's what they wanted to do. But again, this is the fifth type of team that wants to run the ball and dominate the run game. That's how they want to win.
Yes. The difference is Avery Johnson is a different world of athlete than they faced at that position. He's probably the second fastest player on the offense.
Probably.
Behind Dylan Edwards.
Yeah.
Speaking of Dylan Edwards, they have been trying so hard to get Dylan on a wheel route. Mm-hmm. And they've got all sorts of like tough actions to defend, like little fake QB draw wheel, all sorts of stuff. They had a massive touchdown against Tulane on a wheel route as to Giddens. But after last week when we got beat on it, I said I'll have to watch K-State to see if it's a part of their offense, to see if they're really going to try it or if they're just going to have a couple things. It's a big part of their offense.
Yeah.
So we're going to have to be ready for that. And I wouldn't be surprised if in the first series they try to run some sort of misdirection that has a Dylan wheel route on it.
Yep. You kind of mentioned they like to run Dylan between the tackles, but I do think there is some variety in that run game. They try and get him into space, and Dylan's Dylan. He's got game-breaking speed. You give that guy an alley, and he could be gone. He hasn't really broke one on the offensive side of the ball yet. He had the big punt return against Arizona, but I don't think he's truly had a 50-plus like explosive play on offense for them yet.
Totally. Did you see the clip of the Kansas State guy who was saying CU fans have this obsession with Dylan Edwards? I was like, I don't really think it's been a big part of the conversation. It's a part of it.
I'd say since he transferred, we've maybe mentioned his name on this show like 10 times besides this week.
Especially when we're talking about Kansas State. But it's definitely not like a revenge on Dylan Edwards is like the theme of the week.
Yeah.
Let's see. I didn't sort mine offense, defense, so I'm going just through here. I was surprised, especially in the two games. I guess I keep thinking they lost to Tulane, but they somehow won the
close game.
In the two games they struggled, there was a lot of pre-snap penalties, which has not been a characteristic that you expect from Kansas State, especially in recent years. And both of those games are on the road, which I find to be notable. And that's, I guess, another wider note that I have here. Avery Johnson, to me, looks like a different quarterback at home versus on the road. In that Kansas State game, again, they kind of got all three layers working. That's why they scored 40 points. But he looked so comfortable. in the Tulane and in the BYU game especially, he looked incredibly uncomfortable. They had a couple delay of games, stuff like that. And so I think the crowd has a role in this, a real role in this game. I legitimately think that this crowd can rattle Avery Johnson.
Yeah.
And obviously the defense has to do their job too, get after him, hit him a couple times early, especially if they get them into passing situations. But he has not been nearly as sharp on the road as he has been at home, and I think that's a direct challenge to the crowd.
100%, man. The interior of this offensive line is good. They get good push pretty consistently. That's what allows DJ Giddens to do what he does. That's what makes the power read so powerful. When Avery does decide to keep it on there, he's going up the middle. It's not around the edge like he would on read options.
Yep.
So that's really all I got on the offense besides stats. So
other thing is they are very aggressive on fourth downs. In fact, the wheel route touchdown I was telling you about was on a fourth down. They had a 4th and 1 on the 33. And they faked that they were going power and then threw the wheel. It was very well designed. That's the other thing is they're scheming it up.
Yeah,
for sure. They've got all sorts of different looks, and I think that I don't want to overhype Avery Johnson, but I also don't want to underestimate him. When he's going, he can make throws. It's not to me one of those situations where it's just like, oh, this guy can't pass the ball. Like, he can, but he would certainly prefer not to if they can beat you in other ways.
But these wide receivers didn't particularly impress me.
Me either.
And I think we have a great matchup with this secondary versus these wide receivers. They're 108th in passing yards per game, only 180. Avery Johnson's only thrown over 200 yards once this season. That was against Oklahoma State. They're second in or 75th in completion percentage. He's only completing 61% of his passes. So, yeah, they're going to scheme it up. There are some easy throws that they create for him, but if they're counting on Avery Johnson to find the open man and read the field and read the coverages consistently, down in, down out, that's check mark in CU's department there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, yeah, I mean, to tie a bow on it, to me, it's simple, but it's stop DJ Giddens.
Yep.
And you're going to have a really, really good chance to contain them in this game.
One of the best rushing offenses in the country. They're 7th in rushing yards per game at 252, and they're 2nd in yards per rush at 6.9 yards per rush.
Real quick.
Yeah.
Last week, I think our friends at PFF, they said 2 weeks ago, I guess, hold UCF under 250 rushing yards, and you've got a good chance. I think I said 225. What's your number for this game? What's the allowable, like, if you hold them under this, you're going to feel really comfortable with your chances of winning?
185.
Okay. That's what they held UCF to.
Yeah.
That was also on the road. I will say I think that Kansas State has a little more big play burst. I'll say 200.
Okay. They're 85th in the country in first downs. They only average 20 first downs per game.
Right.
So they're not super explosive. They're just very on schedule with how they try and do things offensively. It's not like they're going for big plays all the time.
I feel like that's why they're lower in first downs, because they're chunking the field more when they do score.
But it is a lot of just like, we're going to send DJ up there on first and second down, then we'll run like a power read on third down type of thing. Like they want to control the clock.
Yep. I mean, they have no problem with gaining 9 yards on first through third down and going for it on fourth.
Right, exactly. You mentioned the pre-snap penalties, but on the season as a whole, they're 105th in penalties per game. They're well coached. They don't turn the ball over much. They only average 1.2 turnovers per game.
Yeah, I didn't see. I mean, so in the BYU game, I think I mentioned this the other day, but everything just fell apart for them in a matter of a couple minutes.
And they had like BYU on the ropes too. Like it was 6-0, and BYU was like pressing to go for it on fourth down.
Yeah. And then they made it 6-3.
Yep.
And it was looking kind of like it was going to be 6-3 going into halftime. Then BYU gets a scoop and score touchdown to make it 10-6. Then Avery Johnson throws an interception. They turn that into a touchdown. It's 17-6. And then I don't think it was the next one, but they score another touchdown, and then they have the most ridiculous punt return touchdowns you'll ever see. Did you see this?
Mm-hmm.
Ball goes off of him, is rolling backwards. He has to pick it up going towards his own end zone.
Yeah, he's on like the 4-yard line.
Turns the corner all the way around and takes it the other way.
Yep.
Bro ran so much that he was throwing up on the sidelines. So after that, it was just like, okay, game over. It almost made that game harder to evaluate. It's like a good game for a lot of it, and then just completely comes apart at the seams in 6 minutes.
But that's what Colorado needs to do. They need to own the game script, own the flow of the game, and then this team can basically, we talked about against BYU, they kind of unraveled themselves.
Yeah.
They're just not built to, they get down 2 possessions, man, and they really have to try and go downfield and do things they're not comfortable doing.
Yep.
Let's take our first break, and then we'll go to the other side of the ball and get to today's pressers. Shout out to our friends over at Empire today. They did this beautiful new floor in our studio, and they could do a beautiful new floor in your home or place of business, wherever it is. But Empire today is awesome. This thing is durable. It looks brand new, and hopefully it lasts a lot longer than the other one.
It's already well on its way.
It is, yes. And you can schedule a free in-home estimate today. With one of the best deals that we can offer from our partners, all listeners can receive a $350 off discount when you use the promo code DNVR. Restrictions apply, but see empiretoday.com/DNVR for details.
Also, shout out to Bet365. I don't know if there's ever been a better year to have the early win payouts in college football.
I'm about to just bet every dog.
Yes.
That's it's crazy.
That's what I was going to say is it feels like all of these teams are having big comebacks. I mean, think about Alabama, Georgia 2 weeks ago. Think about
Cal.
Miami and Cal last week. There's something going on every week where one team is up big, other team comes back. It gets crazy at the end. If you're, someone who likes to make an underdog parlay, like I am, this is a perfect thing to have because if your underdog goes up big early, it's over.
Yeah, if you had Cal, even though they lost, you covered.
You covered. You won the straight up money line, which they were 12-point dogs.
Oh, I think they were more than that, weren't they?
Maybe even more than that. So it's a great thing that they have over at Bet365 and only at Bet365 as far as I know. And you can also get the bet and get offer when you use the code DNVR365 at sign up. Please gamble responsibly. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER.
All right, back on our Kansas State takeaways to the other side of the ball. Do you want to start again here? Again, these are overarching notes from the 3 games I watched. So,
one last thing I just want to point out about the Tulane game.
Okay,
they should have lost.
Yes,
or at least gone to overtime.
Mm-hmm.
Tulane had a game-tying touchdown from the 1-yard line or the 2-yard line. They got called for offensive pass interference. It was egregious. Bro's getting pressed, and he's just trying to get off the press.
Yep.
And he gets. And I'm sure he was glad that it resulted in a pick, but how can it be a pick play when the guy's on you?
Yep. I don't know.
Anyways, I finished watching that game before I came here. I was like, this is ridiculous. As for their defense, what's the word I'm looking for? Vanilla.
I could get behind that, yeah. They remind me kind of like North Dakota State on defense.
For sure, and I think it just lacks that. To me, there's not a lot of standouts.
No. This is a better secondary than UCF's, but I still think this is a secondary Shador and Travis and these wide receivers should easily take advantage of.
Yeah, and to me, obviously, the big one is pass rush.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been sitting on this take all week, but I think this will determine something for me. I have a theory that if you don't rush the passer well, you can't beat Colorado.
The blueprint's been out there for over a year. You get to Shador, you have a great chance of beating this team.
But I'm saying the opposite. If you don't get to Shador, you don't have a chance of beating this team.
No, not at all. Yeah.
And so I'm curious to see if that plays itself out this week. I'm not saying they can't. because because you haven't put it on tape as a great pass rushing team yet doesn't mean you can't have a good game. And obviously there's two parts to that. The offensive line has to hold up. The tight ends and backs have to hold up if they're asked to block. But I'm curious to see if they can get after Shedeur, and if they can't, I'm curious to see if my theory that you can't stop this offense if you can't rush the passer.
Right.
And so that's going to be, I think, put to the test this week. Pulling from our guys at PFF College, I think they said Kansas State is 93rd in the country in pass rush win rate. Now, they've been able to manufacture some sacks and some pressures. But in terms of their front four, which is mostly what you see from them, beating their assignment, winning their block, they're not doing very well. So that, to me, that's what, of all the things that I learned about Kansas State over the past week, that's the one that helps me sleep the most.
Yep. It's a base 3-3-5. They kind of they walk an edge down to stand up, so it is kind of like a 4-2-5 at times. But they like to eliminate space pre-snap. They really spread their defense out. They will give you light boxes, but I think their edges are really quick. I wouldn't say they're like game breakers, but they do a great job of, if a run gets behind them or if the quarterback bails out behind them, they're able to come back towards the line of scrimmage and make a play on it so that it's not an explosive. So they're good at shedding blocks and kind of recovering, not making plays at the line of scrimmage, but they're able to disengage and make plays not too far down. So
I think, honestly, and I mean this as a compliment, I think the best thing their defense has is coaching. I think their defense looks pretty well coached to me.
Yes.
And they do what they do, and they stay in the right place most of the time. And that, to me, presents a different challenge. I don't think there's going to be a lot of, busts and things like that. Although they did have some coverage busts against Tulane. I try to hold that stuff less against teams early in the season, the same way I would for Colorado. Mm-hmm. But I think that offensively, Colorado matches up against Kansas State's defense pretty darn well.
Yeah, I mean, they're not. They don't win very often one-on-one in the trenches, and they blitz a lot to create pressure. So that's how they're going to try and get to Shedeur. Again, this secondary doesn't really impress me too much. They do make some plays. They've had some picks this year. They're, like I said, they're better than UCF, but I think that Colorado has a big advantage over them in that department.
And I mean, you mentioned them kind of daring you to run the ball sometimes.
Yeah, they'll throw a lot of light boxes at you.
Colorado showed against UCF that they're willing to take it. If they can keep that up, that's great news, because look how great the offense looked when they were able to get all phases going, including the running game. I have a good feeling about Isaiah Augustov this week.
This was my next point. This is not the best tackling team, and I think you can be very physical with them.
Which is kind of crazy, because that's a Kansas State calling card.
Yeah.
Is they want to be very physical. They want to be great tacklers.
Mm-hmm. They've allowed some big runs, man, and it's guys are in position. They're just not bringing them down. So, I think it's a big week for Isaiah and for Micah. We'll see how often CU decides to run, but I think you can run on this team. They are actually impressive when you look at the rushing yards allowed per game and the rushing yards allowed per average rush per game. I mean, they're 16th in both. So the numbers say that they are very good, but I'm telling you, there's going to be some opportunities where guys are breaking through the second level, and it could be one broken tackle, and it's a massive gain.
Well, and I think if I was Kansas State looking at Colorado and how we match up against them, kind of what we just talked about with the secondary, I would be saying, okay, let's add extra help to coverage and dare them to beat us by running the ball.
Yep.
And I think that's probably what they're going to want to do, which is going to present opportunities.
They only rush 3 a lot, too. Which,
right, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, so I don't know how they manage that, because as we saw with Nebraska last season, when you do that, Shedeur's, you might get him for a quarter and a half, but he will figure it out, and he's going to find the empty spaces. But also this dynamic of Colorado's running game this year now is going to change that as well, because if you just want to rush 3 and drop everyone back, I think we have the offensive line and the running backs to make you pay for it.
Absolutely.
You can pass on this team. They're 101st in passing yards allowed, 66th in completion percentage. They don't force a lot of turnovers. They're very disciplined in terms of penalties as well on defense. It's a well-coached team. I mean, this is kind of what the Big 12 is. It's running the ball. They're well-coached. It's just who has the biggest or the most difference makers in terms of playmakers and quarterback, and who can stop the run, really.
Yeah, I agree. Did you come away, I guess, would you spy Avery Johnson? Or would you rather play more zone like Colorado did against UCF?
I don't think you need to necessarily spy him. I think there's ways to contain him without doing that. Just have the rushers not go upfield as much. Have the safeties, when you're scraping over on read options, just make sure you have that scrape exchange going so that you have someone to fill a gap if someone takes the running back, I think there are situations where they should spy and probably will spy, but I don't think that's the one fix all type thing. Just throw it on there and we're good.
See what Jake was just doing. If anyone ever talks about football and they're doing this, they know ball. It's always the fist. Like, you want to roll the safety down?
I appreciate that.
Anyways, to tie a bow on this, I think it matches up pretty well.
I agree.
I think that Colorado, as far as, and I don't want to get this twisted. This is not to say that Kansas State is not good. As far as it goes for facing a good team, which Kansas State is, their strengths and weaknesses, I think, line up well with Colorado's strengths and weaknesses.
Yes.
So again, I'm not sitting here saying, oh man, this Kansas State team is trash. Colorado should destroy them. It's more like, okay, Kansas State relies heavily on running the football. Colorado has shown themselves to stop the run very well. Kansas State stops the run pretty decently. They don't rush the passer very well.
Yep.
Colorado, obviously the best quarterback in the country, arguably the best wide receiver group in the country. To me, from a pure matchup standpoint, this matchup favors Colorado.
I agree, man. It reminds me of, again, North Dakota State and UCF. How those matchups kind of went. It's kind of a blend between the two, I think.
I think so, too.
Let's go. We've got a couple of minutes. We can do a quick, some press conference stuff.
Cool.
We had Taje McCoy. I think it was his first time on the podium, right?
Yes.
So big time for him. Coach Dancy, and then Sam Okunlola. You can watch all these on our YouTube channel. But here's another little interesting nugget from Taje McCoy. He's got some experience with some guys on this Kansas State team.
Yeah.
He's actually played with a few of those guys. So here's Taje McCoy talking about his former teammates.
It's another run-heavy team. I know I played with Avery in Little League, actually, like when I moved, when I was living in Wichita, Kansas, so I know him pretty well. And Dylan Edwards, we all play on the same Little League team. So I know those guys, so I know Avery's a pretty athletic guy. He likes to run, so if we can just contain him, it'll be a good game for us.
How sick do you think that Little League team was?
Insane. I mean, just imagine the speed alone.
Yeah.
That's insane. I will say this about containing Avery Johnson. I think that's a lot easier said than done.
Of course it is. Yeah.
This is not one of those situations where it's just like, oh yeah, don't let him get around you. Like there is no not letting. He will get around you.
Yeah.
He's that fast. So to me, I think if you're going to go man, I think you have to pay extra attention. You have to leave someone in to pay attention to him.
Yes.
Because he's just, there's no like stopping him from running around one of your ends. He will do it.
All right, let's take a quick break, then we'll hit the rest of press conference stuff. Shout out our friends over at UC Health. With Coach Prime as the Chief Motivation Officer. Big emphasis on sleep. Did you get your sleep last night?
I've been pretty good last 2 nights.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I got great sleep last night.
That's awesome.
I was fired up. But Coach Prime wants to help you and other Coloradans be your healthiest selves and get Colorado back to its rightful place as the healthiest state in the country. You can join the UC Health Ready, Set, Co challenge by clicking the link in the show notes or going into www.uchealth.org/readysetco. Big weekend for sleep, but the late game. You got to be well rested going into it. We can't be tired at 5 p.m. on Saturday. You know what I mean? We got to be ready.
I have a new bad habit that I've been getting into, which is we usually just put on like a TV show when we're going to sleep, like off of a streaming service.
Sure.
But on Friday nights, I've been just leaving on ESPN so that when College Game Day comes on, it like wakes me up.
Yeah.
College Game Day comes on really early, so that's been messing with my sleep. But it is so good, dude. We don't talk, I guess, a lot about like giving credit to national broadcasts. Bro, Saban and McAfee on Game Day is so good.
I have not tuned into Game Day for a lot of years, so...
It's been kind of like a part of my
ritual,
my routine for so many years that like even when it was kind of having a bad stretch, I still watch just like SNL for like my parents. I'm not an SNL watcher, but like they'll watch it no matter what.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I am with Game Day. But right now, Game Day, I would argue is as good as it's ever been. Corso, probably time to hang it up. Other than that, he doesn't really talk ever on the show anyway, so it's good right now. I've been I've been waking up at like 7:15 watching the whole thing.
God bless Lee Corso.
Yes.
An absolute legend, man. Circle K.
Also shout out to Circle K. We will be hitting a big Circle K stop before we head down to Tucson next week on the Great American Stampede. Cannot wait. And we're even maybe going to hit Circle K this week. So we'll keep an eye out for that. But we love Circle K, and honestly, if you're looking for snacks, you're looking for gas, whatever you need, you got to sign up for the Inner Circle Rewards program so that you can get the best possible deal on it. Download the Circle K app, use that QR code right there on the screen, and start saving on your gas and snacks and everything else you get at Circle K today.
All right, let's get back to what we learned from practice today. Taje was great on the podium. He and Sam were quick, but Taje, of course, he was here last year.
Yeah.
We heard a lot about him last year, so it's nice to see him actually on the podium, but also playing really well, too. He's had the opportunity to play with a lot of vets, too. So here's Taje talking about all the experience he's been able to play with at CU.
They've been a tremendous resource for me since they got here. Honestly, they show me things that they do, and I just take bits and pieces from everyone that I can work with, and because we all got like different styles, so like I just take bits and pieces, honestly.
You had Jordan Dominic last year. I mean, how nice has it been for the first 2 years of your career to have so many, talented edge rushers to learn from?
Honestly, like I said, they all different. I just take different style. I know Jordan, he's more like a finesse guy. Like watching him last year, he was definitely a good role model for me, and I looked up to him.
Kid's a player, man.
Yep, he's also just got that football player look.
He does, yep.
And by the way, you get in there and you get 2 sacks, you're going to see the field more.
You're going to see the field more, and that's what Coach Dancy was asked about, was because, we've got great veteran edge rushers. I don't even know if you consider Sam a veteran edge rusher, but he's kind of in that upper rotation too.
Redshirt sophomore?
I think so.
Okay.
But Coach Dancy was asked about Taje McCoy and Arden Walker and what he's seen from them as, kind of depth pieces so far.
It helps us out extremely, especially with those guys coming in. I don't consider them backups because they easily could be playing at the one. But it just helps us out overall, especially as a unit. We defensive ends, but we rush as one. Everything we do up front is predicated off each other and helping each other. Because, hey, man, this game may not be for you. Let me see how can I set my brother up. So we just rush as one, trust each other, be disciplined within the scheme, and that's how we execute. That's how we play fast, and that's how we execute and make plays in the backfield because we play as one.
I think we kind of said that going back to the offseason when we talked about like starters and stuff. It's like we're kind of 2-3 deep across the front 7 here.
Yeah, starters on the defensive line probably matters the least of any position, especially for this team.
Yeah.
You look down any play, it's a different mix. And that's even after losing TC, who is getting in there quite a bit.
Yep.
So it's depth is a beautiful thing, man. And it's nice to see this team has it. And they honestly just discovered new depth.
Yeah.
Yeah,
this is found money.
Yes. Dallan Hayden goes out and everyone else just played better.
Right.
Not better than him necessarily, but better than we knew from them before, especially Taje. So it's awesome. And by the way, I think this was just a typo on the depth chart they released, but they had Dayon listed as a sophomore on there. He's a senior, right?
Yes, he's a grad.
Okay, I was looking through it and I was like, wait a minute. I'm 90% sure that he's a senior, but it had sophomore next to his name. I was like, now that would be found money.
In the Coach Prime era, those depth charts have not been accurate.
Gotcha. Well, I guess not who's playing accurate, but I would expect the sophomore. It's an understandable typo.
Yes, but I don't know. I don't really read. Whenever those come out every week, I never really look at them, honestly.
There's some notable stuff on there once in a while.
There was this week.
Yes.
Coach Dancy also said on Dallan Hayes his status from injury. He's progressing. Right now, he's a little gimpy, but he's looking forward to getting him back. Didn't really sound confident it'd be this week, so I don't know if we get Dayon back this week or not.
I'd love to have him.
We'll find out pregame.
Okay.
Coach Dancy was also asked about, playing Kansas State, and as we talked about, this is the fourth or fifth straight, or not straight, but run first team, and that's how they want to win. This is what he said about having to face another team like that.
It helps, no question. It helps because it changes our rush, how we rush the QB. But overall, it's no different. I think this kid here is very, very mobile. He's elusive. Not totally different how we played last week. He was more of a power back. But this kid right here, if he gets outside, man, he can do damage. So we got to be very, very disciplined. Trust our rush lane. Trust the guy that's next to us and execute the assignment.
Trust is so important in this. And it goes back to that kind of 3-layer thing. But if they start breaking runs, then you stop trusting when that ball is going away from you that those guys are going to make that play. That's when you get exposed. So trust. I mean, this defense, I think one of their best attributes so far has been trust.
You talked about it after UCF, didn't you?
Yes. These guys are not trying to make plays for their teammates.
Right.
They're allowing their teammates to make the plays because they believe that they'll make them.
Exactly.
And that makes everyone better. So it's huge to keep that going this week.
Next from Coach Dancy, he was asked about Sam Okunlola. It took him a little bit to get going, but it seems like he's really hitting his stride right now. So this is what Coach Dancy had to say.
Man, just a natural hard worker. Everything he does is full speed. He don't know no other way. He's different. He has a different style, a different rush, and all of them does. Everybody don't rush the same. Everybody's not the same when it comes to rushing, but Sam is just unique in how he rushes the pass, and just continue to push him through practice and make sure that he understands, again, the rush angle, the rush lane, and how we're rushing this week.
Is he a guy that scouts kind of are always in coach's ears about?
He's one of them.
What was that?
That part at the end, Matt Smith asked him, is he a guy that scouts kind of point out and talk to you about? And Coach Dancy with the smile goes, yeah, he's one of them.
I mean, there's a lot of guys I'm sure that they're talking to.
But yeah, Sam is he's been balling, and he's going to be a big piece of this defense moving forward. Finally, just Coach Dancy on the impact of Robert Livingston, and this is my favorite answer from the day today.
Just fun, man. He's exciting to be around. His composure on game day is tremendous. The atmosphere that he sets allows these guys not to blink, man. Just continue to play. It don't matter about the last play the next play. Just being around him, man, he brings excitement, he brings joy, he's fun to work with. Man, you can see the smile because that's what he makes you do. Even on it's a bad play, he's still smiling, he's still upbeat, he's still running around, he still has a lot of joy on the sideline, man. The way these guys play, they play off him, as you can see. They play exciting. As long as he stays exciting, they stay exciting. So, man, he does a great job, been doing a great job since he's been here. Allows us to be coaches, allows us to coach our room, and yeah, man, he sets the bar high and we just follow, man. But it's exciting.
He's a stud, man.
Yep, absolutely. Robert Livingston has that thing where he's able to bring all that energy without feeling corny.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's not easy. Sometimes you have a coach or even a teammate who's like trying to be the energy person, and
Nathaniel Hackett.
It's a great example. It's so over the top, and you're just kind of roll your eyes every time that they try to get fired up or try to get you fired up. Robert Livingston is not like that.
Yep.
And you can tell by the way that his players respond to his energy.
Well, just the way that everyone talks about him, man. Everyone loves this guy. They love playing for him. You know, they love what he's doing scheme-wise and all that. It's just an exciting time to follow this team.
People in the chat are talking about belt to ass. Did you see the video?
The youth football?
Yeah. Okay.
Crazy.
That is insane. I'm almost always pro, like, taunting.
Yeah.
Way past the line. If that happened to me in post-game handshake lines, we are fighting.
I'm surprised that kid didn't get thrown down.
The fact that no one swung is crazy to me. That was unbelievable.
I agree. No, that was a wild clip. All right, we got a few more minutes before we hit our last break. There's a lot going on in terms of the calendar. A lot is changing right now. We're in the middle of the season. Do people realize what's going on here?
No, and I honestly don't care to know.
Well,
I mean, like,
we're going to talk about it.
you can tell us it's going to go in one ear and out the other for me. I'm just like, why are we doing this right now? There's football. There's literally a football game tonight. There was a football game last night.
Because it's going to sneak up on us.
I know. But I'm just letting you know that as soon as the season's over, I'm going to be like, Jake, can you give me a refresher on all this stuff that you already told me?
I'm sure we will have a refresher, but here's just a quick PSA for what's coming. The windows for the transfer portal window have been changed. We've talked a lot about this throughout the offseason, but it's actually coming to fruition right now. They are shortening the winter portal window from 30 days to 20 days and the spring portal window from 15 days to 10 days. So there's only 30 days in total now that a player can actually enter the portal. Again, same rules. You can enter the portal. You just have a certain amount of time to enter. But once you're in, you can kind of do your thing. But with that, more changes. Clamps are really kind of being put on. Transfers can now be signed by a new school once their names are in the portal. But after a prospect signs, other schools will be prohibited from recruiting communication.
Sounds nice. Won't change anything.
That's exactly my thought. Is like, okay, you put this in, but I guarantee you.
Why are we making new tampering rules when we can't uphold the ones that we already have?
I don't know. But I seriously doubt tampering's just eliminated now.
Everything from the NCAA reminds me of like my parents telling me I had like a curfew, but my parents went to sleep at 8 p.m. How could they uphold that?
Right.
I would just walk out of the house. They would never know. I just had to be back before they woke up.
Yep. And then last change, they're eliminating national letters of intent.
Okay, again, what does this mean?
This has something to do with the House versus NCAA settlement, which is going to have revenue sharing with the athletes. And it's basically going to make the NCAA rethink their entire amateurism, like standing on college sports. The NLI program, National Letter of Intent, started in 1964. It's a binding agreement between the athlete and the school. Lots of things, financial aid, scholarship agreements.
Let me just ask you this, though. You could literally sign an NLI today.
Yeah.
And enter the transfer portal tomorrow.
On signing day, you could.
Yeah. No, you understand what I'm saying, though?
Yes.
The NLI has already lost all of its power.
I know.
I guess that's probably why they're doing
exactly. This. So this all still stems from the House versus NCAA settlement, which it's not officially approved yet. I know Rick George came out on Monday or Tuesday to talk about it. And there's been a lot of, this is passed, this is not, whatever, blah, blah. It's still in the works, but they're moving towards it. And part of that is going to be getting rid of NLIs and what they mean. And just a new way they're going to have a new way for players and schools to come to an agreement so that they are now linked and connected however way.
For how long?
That's the thing. We don't know, and as you said, NLIs aren't really like you're locked in for a year or whatever at this point anyways either.
Right, it used to mean you'd have to use one of your transfers if you wanted to transfer.
Yeah.
And even before then, if you wanted to transfer, you'd have to sit out a year. Now all of that has been undone. I'm curious, though, if the schools are going to fight for some sort of time commitment. Because now the players are going to be paid employees, technically, or I don't know if it's going to technically be employee agreement, but you're going to say, like, okay, well, then you sign this contract. That means you're going to be here for a year.
Right.
Because, and that's even changed in the last couple of weeks. Like, now you can't even count on a player who's on your team on the first game of the season to be on your team by the 5th game of the season.
Right.
So I'm wondering if that's like a little bit of like recourse that the universities will try to have is like, okay, well, but this is a 1-year agreement.
Yeah.
And if you were to like ask to redshirt or whatever, like that, I don't know, can somehow be revoked.
There's going to be a lot of changes coming. And I think they kind of like this all happened in like a 2-day span. Like these changes are going to come quickly, I think. Let's not forget, they moved up early signing day this year to be the week before conference title games on December 4th.
We'll be busy.
We will be busy. So, yes, that's a quick, rough summary of the changes that have happened just in the last few days. But
could we make like a infographic?
We need like a whiteboard just right behind us. So every time something
like a
changes.
timeline.
Yeah. All right. Okay, let's take our last break and then get to the Toyota chat and super chats.
Also, it's already been... Actually, go ahead.
Shout out to my friends at Westera Credit Union. They're the homies. They've been around here in Denver since 1934 and are founded right here in Colorado. They've got 9 locations across Denver. They've got a smart money checking account. It's awesome for those who want to make small balances, earn big returns. You can earn up to 6% annual percentage yield on your first $2,000 each month. That's up to $120 a year. And then your next chunk of cash comes when you make a 3% APY and so on. In addition to the interest you earn, this account also comes with a rewards debit card, has no monthly or maintenance fees, and so much more. If you like earning money by doing the things you're already doing with your checking account, visit westeracu.com/smartmoney for more details. Membership eligibility required. Insured by NCUA, restrictions and conditions apply. But Westera is awesome. I can vouch for them. Credit unions are great. Don't go to a bank, go to a credit union, go to Westera.
Love it. Also, shout out to Factor Meal Kits, back in the mix.
Yeah. Someone was asking about them recently, so
yes,
here you go.
Back in the mix. And this is important for us because after our first RV trip, I was like, oh, man, it's not sustainable to eat like this. And one of the great things about Factor Meal Kits is they're not frozen because I don't think we have a freezer on the bus, but we do have a fridge.
Yes, sir.
And so my thought is instead of, stuffing our faces with Flamin' Hot Cool Ranch Doritos.
Man, those slap, though.
They do slap. We fill the fridge with our Factor Meal Kits so you can have a nice little actual meal with like meat and vegetables while we're on the bus. So super excited to have them back involved. And we have a sick deal. So go to factormeals.com/DNVR Buffs 50. Use the code DNVR Buffs 50 to get 50% off your first box from Factor. And then 20% off your next month after that. It's 50% off your first box, 20% off your next month after that. It's code DNVR Buffs 50. Great deal.
Shout out Factor. Did you see? I'm sure you haven't seen Well Off today yet. Did you watch?
No, I saw yesterday's today.
There's a clip in there you're gonna love. LaJohntay is talking to all the wide receivers, and he says, "Make sure y'all get your film hours done."
Yes. Yes. And don't just get your film hours done. Double them. Triple them.
Yep. It makes a difference.
It makes such a difference. But that's great. I love seeing the players self-police on that.
Yep.
Because I know it's one of the major sticking points for Coach Prime. Mm-hmm. But we talk about this all the time with player-led programs. Like your coach saying something is different than your teammate saying something.
Exactly.
We've all not listened to our teachers, but when it's your friends telling you to do something, it hits a little different.
Yep.
What are you laughing at?
A super chat that we'll get to. Okay. Lloyd asks, is it me or does KSU O-line look undersized? Look, there's been podcasts that talk a lot about our team in very choice language. I'm not going to do that.
I don't know what you're talking about. What was the question?
The Kansas State people who are going crazy talking about college. I'm not going to do that about Kansas State.
No.
So you said it, not me.
It is crazy, some of the clips that are coming out. Also, leave it to Dalvin to just like dig up just clips from everywhere.
I love that guy. AWS is Benson back and starting this week. I believe he is.
I believe he's back.
We'll have to find out pregame show with Unk, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
Kamada asks, how will special teams affect this game? Can Dylan Edwards match up Jimmy Horn pound for pound for kick returns? Mata
matters a lot.
Thank you. that was wild.
Mata matters would be a good t-shirt. Here's the thing. I think Jimmy Horn could be one of the best kick returners in the country. He never gets to return the rock.
I know.
I did see that Kansas State allowed some returns. So that's exciting to see, and hopefully Jimmy Horn gets that opportunity. Obviously, altitude plays a factor in this as well. And also, I don't know if he just mishit it, but Kansas State lined up for like a 52-yard field goal in one of the games I was watching, and it landed in the middle of the end zone. Down the middle the whole time, landed in the middle of the end zone. So I think Dylan Edwards is an electric returner. I fear that he's going to get more opportunities than Jimmy Horn.
They've got to just be better in kick coverage. I think we can all agree with that.
Yep.
They just have to be better in that department because Dylan will house it.
Oh, yeah.
Ivan asks, any updates on recruiting? Any surprise big recruits coming on campus this weekend for the K-State game? So this weekend will not be the big recruiting weekend that we initially thought. It'll still be a recruiting weekend, but it looks like the Cincy game is the weekend that the team is targeting.
All right. It's 2 weeks from now.
We'll get to visits later in the week, though. Napsala asks, what about transferring before bowl game? Any words on that? So many players sat out. Haven't heard about that, but I wouldn't be surprised if you see opt-outs continue.
But again, is there a way that teams have, if you're paying guys, I wonder if it'll almost come out to like more similar to the NFL with like game checks.
Right.
And if you sit out, then you don't get your game check.
Yep.
Very interesting.
I see you, Artemis. I see the Tigers too.
Who are they
Original.
playing?
They're playing the Guardians in the ALDS.
Okay.
I think they just went up 2-1.
It looks like game over to me.
Yep. Original asks, or with the super chat, special teams is going to be huge this game. Yep. Just got to be more consistent.
And also just win the field position battle.
Yep. Could be
That's
massive.
going to be massive.
DJ Flame to you. What's up, gents and FDP? F them Chiefs. And when will tickets go on sale for KU tailgate? Also, we're doing a meet and greet for Jack Stack Barbecue.
Oh, gosh, we absolutely should. We will definitely be going to Jack Stack.
Okay. Oh, yeah?
That's a must stop for me when we're in KC. I don't know about the tailgate, though.
That's still a while out. We'll get to there.
It is. Speaking of tailgate, get your tailgate tickets
Yep.
for this weekend. Super excited. It starts at 4 and still got a couple spots left. If you want to ride with us on the Great American Stampede bus from here in the DNVR bar up to the tailgate in Boulder. Like I said, last time we were on there, we were like, we should bring the people with us on here. So if you want to ride up to the game with us, that's still an option for you.
And I was also told today that tickets are on sale for the Arizona one.
I don't think, is that on sale?
It's on the events page.
Okay. But I don't know all the details. So there you go. Check them out on the events page.
Yeah, it's on the events page. I think it's free, actually. It says free RSVP on
That's
the
what I
page.
thought, yeah.
So
that's
check
what
it
I
out.
was asking. But should be a fun one down in Tucson if you're coming down there.
Yep. Coach Barry with the super chat. On another note, Colorado is going to get Bear Alexander from USC. Mark my words. He redshirted recently and focused on to see you and playing for Sapp and Coach Prime. We'll see on Bear.
Yep.
Warren with the super chat, just saying hello really quickly before heading back to work. #SCO. Appreciate you, Warren.
Appreciate you, Warren.
Thanks, man. Chuck with the super chat. I got Jimmy and Dallan having key roles this week.
What a time for a Dallan Hayden breakout game.
Oh, my God.
Feed families.
Yeah, it really would. Thank you, Chuck. A Jazzy says, RK, you are awesome having Chidoze give a tutorial on how to pronounce his name correctly. So many people in the press conference mispronounce his name.
Like you just now. Chidoze.
Chidoze.
You said Chidoze.
Whatever, man.
Just giving you shit. But there were some butcherings happening out there. That one's more palatable. So yeah, no problem. I figured someone was gonna be like, "How do you not know that by now?" I was like, "I do. I'm just doing it for everyone else." Clearly don't.
A Jazzy with another one says, now if we can get B-Watts to stop calling Cam by the wrong name, that would be awesome as well. He calls him Cam, Simi, and Craig.
There's some. It happens out there.
It does happen. Okay.
I've heard Carter Stoudemire quite a bit. So what can you do? We try to do our best. What was I going to say? Oh, one thing, hit the like button.
Yeah, and subscribe.
I believe we're 8,000 away from getting our first plaque, which we want desperately. And then last thing is, unfortunately, we said this 2 weeks ago. We're saying it again. To all of our followers out there in Florida, please be safe and keep us updated that you are safe.
Yes, please. And get out if you can.
Yep.
Coach Barry with the last minute super chat, wondering, are we getting speedy and shifty special teams? Baby T.O. back for KSU game. I can tell you I watched him. I mean, you guys saw the pictures, but I watched him walk out of practice in full gear today.
Yep. Not even a yellow, right?
Nope.
Love to see it.
Yes, we are at 92.1K subscribers, so we are less than 8,000 away.
Jake says whatever whenever he's wrong.
I wasn't wrong.
Yes, you were.
Oh, my God.
It's his ultimate defense mechanism. All right.
Do you have anything else? We have 2.5 minutes.
Oh.
If you have anything. Get on your soapbox.
I don't know if I have a soapbox today. I will say this. Here we go.
Okay.
There's not a... I feel like there's a disconnect between what Kansas State has always been and like how they match up with Colorado. Colorado's dominated Kansas State historically. 25-8 in Boulder.
Yeah.
So I don't want there to be like fear in the air of Kansas State. They're a good football team for sure, but Colorado has a great chance to win this game. And if and when they do, I don't know what they're gonna say.
The national reaction's been funny too, because I feel like there's a lot of people picking Colorado just because they're scared of what happens if Colorado does win.
100%, man. 100%. Like I said, people are starting to see ghosts in the pocket.
I love
when they're
it,
talking
man.
about. I had to laugh at JD Piquel because he said, "I know I'm gonna get clipped and blah blah." I was like, man, we're Buff Nation living in people's heads.
Yeah.
So I guess Buff Nation stands on business.
I love it.
That much is very clear.
I absolutely love it. I think that's all I got. It's an exciting time to be a Colorado Buffaloes fan right now. A very exciting time.
Absolutely. Get ready for one of the craziest atmospheres of Folsom in a long, long time.
Yep.
And if you're going, like I said on Twitter, leave your inside voice at home and expect to leave your outside voice at Folsom.
Yep.
With nothing left.
Cannot wait. We'll be back tomorrow. We might have a guest tomorrow.
Oh. Speaking of... No, never mind. Let's go.
See you guys tomorrow. Let's go Buffs.
Let's go Buffs.
We all silly like the mayor.